Roads, where we're going, we don't need roads. This is a famous line from my favorite movie of all time, Back to the Future. We all have our favorite movies, from oldies to the most recent out in theaters. But where did it all begin? Film is such a huge part of American society and culture, yet Americans know very little about its history. I'm a bit of a movie buff myself, and I hope to become a film critic one day. Now, I have learned that with just a little bit of background on film, we can come to better appreciate the films that we see today. So, let's go over a brief rundown of film history from its beginnings to today. Film began at the end of the 19th century. According to Erkai Huktamo, in his book Natural Magic, there are many innovative and scientific breakthroughs previously, but the 1890s were, it was generally agreed, the period that gave birth to moving images. Now, many film historians will disagree and argue on the exact event that should be classified as the birth of cinema, but according to David Parkinson, in his book History of Film, the signaling event occurred at the Lumiere Cinematography in Paris on December 28, 1895. There, paying audiences gathered for the first time to witness moving pictures. George Méliès is considered the father of narrative film by many film historians. Between the years 1896 and 1906, just 10 years' time, George Méliès came out with more than 500 films. These range greatly in genre and pioneered special effects. While you may not be familiar with George Méliès, you are most likely familiar with his most revered film, A Trip to the Moon. Now, this film is considered one of the most influential films of all time, and the scene here where the capsule hits the moon on the eye is referenced many, many times throughout the cinema world. Now, according to Michael Wood in his book, Film, A Very Short Introduction, from the time the first Nickelodeon theater opened its doors in 1905 to just 2 years later, there were more than 4,000 venues across America showing films. Now, these Nickelodeon films were short and silent, only about several minutes long at most, but audience members were so intrigued by this new form of entertainment that they gathered in massive crowds into these theaters to witness a couple minutes of movie magic for a nickel. Over the years, films progressed and evolved from complexities in storyline to longer showtime to a wider variety of genres to accommodate the vast amount of films being produced. Additionally, actors and actresses began being recognized more and more for their role in films. This led way to celebrity status for actors and actresses, along with the Hollywood star system. The Hollywood star system made movies big. They made movies famous because of the tools that they used, especially hiring famous actors and actresses to star in their films. According to Parkinson, cinema's pioneers never intended their movies to be silent. Now, back in the old days, filmmakers would have to resort to techniques such as playing a piano in the room where the film was being shown in order to make up for the lack of sound. Sound began being integrated in film in the late 1920s, but they were still in black and white. The most famous movies to integrate color into film were Gone with the Wind and The Wizard of Oz. According to Wood, nowadays, nothing can look authentic on screen without vast amounts of artifice. In today's films, at times it is hard for viewers to be able to distinguish between a real person or a real landscape and a fake, digitized one. This is largely due to the advancement of special effects, including very large advancements in filming techniques and camera equipment, in addition to the rise of CGI or computer-generated imagery. From the birth of cinema in Paris to the explosion of Nickelodeons across the country, to the Hollywood star system and the advancement of sound and color, to today's high use of CGI and special effects, film has a broad history culminating to the movies that we see today in theaters.